Jay Leno joins us this morning at Post 9. The second season of Jay Leno's Garage premieres tomorrow night on CNBC, 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We can change at the moment's notice.
There you go. Yeah. I like how you're able to do that. Very impressive. Yes.
Congratulations on season 2.
Thank you. Thank you. It's very exciting. We're having a lot of fun. A lot of car crashes, a lot of danger, so it goes good.
Is the focus on supercars, and what does that mean?
No. The focus is really on the people and the stories behind the cars. That's kind of the fun part. I mean, I'm a little tired of these car shows. Everybody goes like this, and they have tattoos. We find a car that has an interesting story, and we'll talk about the car, but you'll talk about the story behind it. They got married in it. Their kid was born in it. Their daughter got married in it. You know, I mean, we have a lot of things like that. So it's more. It's as much the people as it is the automobiles.
Seinfeld in it. I mean, you've got all these people.
Seinfeld's in it. Seinfeld is one of the premier Porsche collectors, but he only collects original, unmolested cars. I mean, cars that original paint, original, you know. Right. And he's really an expert, and that's what he looks for. If it's been repainted, no, he's not interested in it. Wow. Exactly as it was in the day. You know?
Jay, one of the things that you're the expert on, I mean, there's this weird thing. We keep hearing about the love affairs over with cars, but if you take a kid to a car dealer, they want every car. I mean, it's not over, is it?
No, I don't think it's over at all. I mean, if you live in New York City, it's been over for about 40 years, yeah. But, I mean, once you get out in the real world, where people have to cover great distances, no, I think it's... I'm one of those people who thinks the cars we know will become like the snowmobile, a recreational vehicle. You know, I think in the future everybody will drive some sort of EV because electric car of some kind because of traffic. And then the weekend you use your Ferrari or a Hemi Barracuda or whatever. But it's kinetic artwork. I mean, it's artwork that moves and rolls and explodes and makes noise. And that's kind of the way I look at it.
You brought a clip.
We did bring a clip. I'm not sure what we got. Oh, is that me and Hershevek? Is that what it is?
Let's take a look. Okay. This is Jay Leno's Garage.
When this came out, the term supercar had not yet been coined. The first car to be called a supercar, Lamborghini Miura.
I remember being 19 years old and going to see the movie The Italian Job. I forget what the movie was about, but the opening scene always stuck with me. There was the Lamborghini Miura, the first supercar, and it commanded the screen more than any movie star ever could.
Robert Hershevek from Shark Tank?
How you doing, Jay?
Well, not too good. Can you give me a ride back to LA?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so that's a laugh out loud moment right there.
Yeah, for 15% of your company, I'll give you a ride back.
Was there one that you fell in love with?
The one car?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of like them all, actually. So it's hard, you know. I mean, that's one of my favorites. That's my personal car right there. We copied the opening scene to The Italian Job, where he goes into the tunnel and the mafia blows up his car, you know. And then he gets in with a shark, which is kind of the same thing.
I got to ask you about the Tesla. I mean, you know, when you talk to kids, again, who don't want cars, they say, well, I don't want a car, but can I have a Tesla?
Yeah, I've got one. I've got a P90D, fantastic car. You know, I don't understand why people attack this car. It's made in America by Americans. It's built locally. You know, we're becoming like the British now. We like noble failures more than we reward success. Somebody who's failed with something somehow, you know, I don't know why that is. I mean, I think Elon Musk is the Thomas Edison or the Henry Ford. I mean, against all odds, and people think he makes 2,500 cars a year. He builds 60,000. He sells more cars than Porsche. And yet there's always this, anytime one has the slightest problem, oh, it's terrible, oh, it's a horrible thing. I don't quite understand why we don't celebrate entrepreneurship and success more in this country.
You know, this is a great point. I mean, my father went to, this is going to sound weird, went to sleep with you every night for all as you were long, and he always woke up with a smile. You had an optimist bent, and an optimist bent also on the news, a cynical but a skeptical optimist bent. I mean, something's happened that this has occurred because the Tesla is American, Apple is American, and the cynicism associated with the greatness, Jay, it's a little out of control.
It does seem that way. I mean, I'm one of those people who believes engineers will save the world. And I think it's true. I've seen Los Angeles has millions more cars than it did in 1972 with a tenth of the smog. I mean, there's still a way to go. But I mean, you know, what was it? Malta said you could only feed 10 people on an acre of land, or 100 people on an acre of land, everybody else will die. Well, now you feed 1,000 people on an acre of land. I mean, I'm very optimistic. I mean, I see Elon putting rockets into, I know he put a rocket into space and it landed. And I watch the news and they show the one that blew up. And I go, why don't you show the one that's successful? I mean, you can show both. Yeah, I don't understand why we're not celebrating success and entrepreneurship a little bit more than we do.
Now, Jim mentioned cynicism with cars and Elon, but it goes a lot broader than that, this election cycle. What do you make of the environment we're in? What would you do with it if you were still doing late night?
Well, you know, I was fortunate. I grew up in a different time. Clinton was horny, Bush was dumb. It was really simple. You know, Gore was a robot. I mean, it was pretty easy. Now we have homophobic. It's so ugly now. I'm kind of glad I'm not on, because I feel like every time I do a joke about Trump, maybe I'm somehow promoting him. So it's good to kind of stand back and watch other people handle it.
You know, one of the things that when you talk about the value of cars, there was always this judgment that the moment it leaves the lot, it's worth less. I look at your car collection, and I think that was a big mistake to ever listen to that. There are cars that are worth a lot more.
Well, I remember when Harrah's car collection sold in 1986, they sold 250 cars for $50 million, and they thought, and then one of those cars sold for $15 million. And you realize that's when the general public began to notice. You see cars coming out now that don't depreciate at all. Ferrari, Ferrari, a McLaren P1. They were $1 million when they came out. A year later, they're $1.8 million, $1.9 million. So they've actually gone up in value. I mean, we've reached the point where the technology's gotten so good. You know, you can't be in a business now with anything less than an A. In the old days, you could have a crappy restaurant or a crappy car. You can't do that anymore. The word spreads quickly. So you've got to have a good product from the get-go. Anything mass-produced is going to drop down in value. But if you hold on to it long enough, it usually goes up. I mean, I have a McLaren F1. Back in 1998, that car was $800,000. Now it's $12 million.
Oh, my God.
And it's just a car. I mean, so...
How do you know when they're overvalued?
It's not overvalued. I mean, something that's, if it's technically interesting, if it's fun to drive, and it's no longer in production, that's something that will go up in value. I mean, anything they're still making probably doesn't go up in value. They're not making land anymore, so that goes up in value, you know. So any car that's limited production and was ahead of its time, in its time, it's usually going to go up in value.
There you go.
We can't wait for season 2.
Well, thanks, you guys.
We need you in the discourse, my friend.
Well, there you go. Yeah, that's me. That's me. I'm in the discourse.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good seeing you.
Thank you, Jim.
Jay Leno's Garage.
Thank you.
Season 2 premieres tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern Pacific, right here on CNBC.
Hey CNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Here you're going to find videos packed with all of the information that you need to be smarter about your finances. You can subscribe by clicking right here and click on all the videos around me or the I right here to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.